Hi there, Frank here for premium members for the trading day of August the 25th, 2025. Let's get ready for the new week and an important week, definitely, and perhaps the rest of the year will be important for us, so let's pay attention here. So as you know, Friday important events happened. Markets broke to the upside, and that is in the wake of what some news reports said that Powell said. The Fed will expectedly reduce or decrease interest rates, which is bullish for the markets and also inflationary. Regardless of the macroeconomic factors and political factors, let's just stick to the price action here. And as you know, we broadcasted the events here, the expected breakout to the upside of this move on Friday, well before events actually happened. So we hope you were on this trade. If not, then first of all, look for the next pullback and expect this area to be retested. This is just standard practice, okay? So we are bullish. I'm not interested in shorting this Monday morning, but I do expect the price will at least come back, let's say half the distance that it traveled, okay? Something like this. But if you just want to play it safe, then trade the 4-hour chart, wait for a pullback, and look for a trigger. Something like this on Friday, Tuesday. Long-term, days and weeks ahead, we are bullish. We expect this market to break to the upside to new highs above 45 and change. Let's move on to NQ. And again, this was a money-making opportunity on Friday. And those of you who paid attention, they were definitely on this trade. This was so obvious going into Friday, and it was included in Thursday's report. Okay, so next thing to do, wait for a pullback and then a trigger. Let's look at the YM, which was also dynamic. Remember, the YM was and the RTY were lagging behind. Now we have a clear 1R. Look at the three beautiful algorithmic triggers if price action weren't enough, but I think the chart, even without our algorithmic work, the chart speaks for itself. Look at this volatility compression leading to an expansion with a clear previous target area above. Nothing new really. The task and any difficulty that we traders can have is the execution of the idea, executing on the information that we are aware of and in the possession of. Look at the RTY. Probably 2 R's on this move, beautiful, and we hit or almost hit the 1 R on the daily. Remember the RTY, please. I don't have to say this again. 2550, previous pivot on the weekly. Fantastic stuff. Now, let's make currency short because I don't want to go through 10 major pairs because it's the same story in all of them. USD weakening, we talked about this for weeks. Here we are now. We have not missed anything yet. If you have not been active, the show is just starting. Seriously. Let's move on to metals. Remember, inflation and more dollars in the economy means higher prices, obviously. And this is what's happening probably on gold and silver and the other two that we're following. So look for a pullback here on gold. And let's just also look at silver and the other two, palladium, platinum. Look at this. I'm not saying it was easy or it was even possible to catch all these trades. And who has money for all these? Like, these are 20 trades already that we reviewed so far in 2 minutes. Obviously, we can't trade that much, but it's important, remember, to understand the processes. Also, if you're new to premium, let me just say, joining us for a day or two, yes, it helps. But what really helps is to stick with us for a year and to understand the stories, because these stories were building up for weeks and weeks. You just jump in or hop in and check out a video or two once a week. Okay, you might catch a move, but it's not going to give you the framework of long-term framework of successful trading. These are stories developing on daily charts, perhaps even weekly charts, and the intraday nonsense is just better to be avoided. Stay on the 4-hour, stay on the daily, put it all in the context of the weekly, and then that's how this whole thing's going to build up. Let's look at platinum, on which we have a long setup. Look at this. Well, actually, the long setup is hard to classify. But if you see this, let me just show you the 6A, okay? Look at the 6A. It's one of the most beautiful visually setup that I have found, that we have experienced lately. Look at these bottom tails, failure test, and a powerful, like a volcano eruption on Friday here. I'm not saying this was difficult, this was easy to catch, but that doesn't matter. It is here for our learning purposes. And now back to gold, and remember what we saw on 6A, totally unrelated market, but crowd behavior. Actually, it was not gold, but platinum that I wanted to show you. Look at this volatility compression. This is what it is. We have a name for this, volatility compression. Where do you think the next move will be? Well, this move by and large will head towards to the upside. So if it breaks out, I'd certainly be interested in this trade. All right, let's look also at palladium, which we have been loosely following for about 2-3 months. Okay, well, no real setup, but we'll keep an eye on this because the setup is actually just evolving on the weekly chart. This is also something we all need to understand. We cannot tell the market on which time frame to evolve. The market does what it does. Our job, the only thing we can do and what we should do is to recognize where, on which time frame things are evolving. In this case, it's a weekly time frame. It's a bull flag on the weekly. That's it. We can leave it or take it. And that's how we can, perhaps later, we can find something that we can do with in our own time frames. And then Bitcoin, of course, is higher up, just like the others. Higher up meaning compared to Thursday, we have an all-time high, 125. I think that will be clearly broken in the coming days. And let's move on also to some agriculturals that we haven't looked at lately, but price action says this is a bull flag. I think we can agree on that much. And where do we expect this to go? I think we can agree on that much too. We expect this to trigger and hit 1R. That's all we need to know. Let's also look at some other markets here. Agriculturals, here we go. Wheat, beautiful bull flag. Now, which way we expect this to go? Same thing as on corn. There's a counter indication. The daily, let alone the weekly, are not ready yet. So if you want to skip this, that's perfectly fine. I'd rather trade markets which have already at least hit once the upper Keltner if it's a long trade on a smaller chart. That hasn't happened yet on wheat, and let me just refer back to corn. I don't think it happened on corn either. We just add the mid area here. I'm a bit more inclined to try this trade here, this setup here, than the one on wheat. Definitely not on wheat, but it helps to be aware. Let's also look at soybeans, on which we did look at this a couple of days ago in a workshop. And since then, when the workshop took place, we were talking about this bull flag here. Since then, we had a larger complex bull flag here. You know what I'm trying to say here is that we have now broken out from that one, and we have a clear target area above. I'm not saying this is a setup for us, not really. I don't think there's much I want to do with this at this point, other than watching it most likely to hit the upper target area. So this is an area, this is also a point here. You see, just because we see what's most likely happening on the chart, it doesn't mean that we have to get involved. It's not a setup, it's best just to follow our trading plan. And this nonsense here on the weekly and even on the 4-hour chart is not a setup for me. So the train has already left the station. There's nothing for me to do. So I hope this helps a little longer, but Sunday afternoon, next week is starting. Hope you're listening to this and hope that you will be able to act on this information. Thank you very much. We'll be back in the morning, and until then, mindful trading.